The man accidentally discovered the game Tetris. After playing it for just 5 minutes, he immediately realized the enormous commercial potential behind it. After learning that the game had not yet been released in Japan, Hank quickly spent $20,000 to purchase the distribution rights for Japan. He then took a demo of the game and went straight to the headquarters of Nintendo, where he personally recommended it to Nintendo's president, Hiroshi Yamauchi. After trying the game, Yamauchi was extremely impressed and offered $500,000 to buy the full rights outright. However, Hank flatly rejected the offer. He had bigger ambitions. He wanted to co-publish the game with Nintendo, but Nintendo had always released only its own games and had never collaborated with an outside party. Hank began using his persuasive skills to convince Yamauchi. He argued that cooperation would be a win-win situation. Just like Mario has Luigi and Zelda has Link. His clever analogy successfully won Yamauchi over, and Nintendo finally agreed to work with him to release the game together. Yamauchi asked Hank to first produce 200,000 game cartridges, which would then be sold under Nintendo's label. Hank immediately approached his partner bank manager to apply for a $3 million loan, $2 million to manufacture Nintendo cartridges, and $1 million to produce arcade versions of the game, ensuring steady cash flow. However, because Hank had previously taken out a loan to acquire the rights to a Go game that failed, and that debt was still unpaid, the bank manager was initially unwilling to lend him the money.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Eddie. Nintendo is letting me become a publisher. Nintendo! It's a license to print money!
You feel that strongly about it?
Yeah, clearly!
Then I'm upping your interest rates.
Fine.
And I want your house as collateral.
Fine!
And if you miss one payment, that house is ours.
Fine!
When he returned home, Hank showed the mortgage documents to his wife. She was extremely worried, because if anything went wrong, they would lose their home. But Hank asked her to listen carefully. When was this house ever this quiet? Their 2 children were completely absorbed playing Tetris. That was the proof he needed. This game had undeniable appeal, and it represented his company's chance at survival. Just as things seemed to turn around, the media company that had originally sold him the rights suddenly went back on their word. They split off the arcade rights to Tetris and sold them at a higher price to Nintendo's competitor, Sega. Although Hank was furious, there was nothing he could do.
You're gonna fucking bankrupt me.
Do you want PC and video game or not?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Once again, his company was pushed to the brink. Hank returned to Yamauchi and presented Nintendo with the first completed cartridge. Then, in his own way, he explained the crisis he was facing.
Thing is, Yamauchi-san, Kevin Maxwell pulled a piranha plant on me. He reneged on my arcade rights, and I really need a mushroom to stay alive.
He asked if Nintendo could prepay for the 200,000 cartridges. Yamauchi took a liking to this young entrepreneur and invited him to visit Nintendo's branch in Seattle, telling him that he might find a solution there. Hank immediately flew to Nintendo of America. After signing a series of confidentiality agreements, a revolutionary electronic product was revealed before his eyes. Nintendo's first handheld console, the Game Boy. Nintendo originally planned to bundle it with Mario, but Hank had a better idea. He brought out his equipment and loaded Tetris onto the handheld for them to try.
Gentlemen, if you want to sell a couple 100,000 Game Boys to little kids, package them with Mario. But if you want to sell millions of Game Boys to absolutely everyone, young and old, around the world, package them with Tetris.
The decision was made on the spot. Tetris would be bundled with the first-generation Game Boy. Now, Hank needed to urgently solve the licensing issue for handheld consoles, a completely new category. He immediately flew to London to negotiate with the Mirror Group, which held the exclusive rights to Tetris, requesting global handheld authorization. But during the talks, Hank keenly sensed something was wrong. They didn't actually seem to own the handheld rights at all. So he privately contacted Robert Stein, the man responsible for negotiating licensing deals with the Soviet Union, and offered him $25,000 to secure the handheld rights on his behalf. Stein agreed immediately. However, shortly after Hank returned to Japan, Nintendo of America called him with shocking news. Stein was attempting to sell the handheld rights to Nintendo's competitor Atari for $100,000. Even worse, Atari was preparing to release a handheld console similar to the Game Boy. If they seized the market first, Nintendo would suffer incalculable losses. After being deceived twice, Hank made a decisive choice. He would personally travel to the Soviet Union. At the time, the United States and the Soviet Union were still locked in the Cold War. For someone who had lived in the US, traveling there was extremely dangerous. The moment Hank landed, his personal information was immediately delivered to the hands of the KGB.